Hey guys, Alex M975 here today, and in today's video I wanted to discuss the Pokemon X and Y game. It's kind of a forgotten thing that I don't assume this video will do very well because this game is very much forgotten, but I do have to talk about this because it was one of my favorite childhood games, and I've just had a resurgence because I've started watching the show again because I just found out it's on Amazon Prime. And I do have to say that I have talked about it on my main channel, Alex975, but Amazon Prime is doing really well, and I really loved that show as a kid. And that's one thing I just wanted to say before I'm discussing the actual game, but I also watched the show a lot. Now this review is obviously going to be very biased because it's my nostalgia. This is what I grew up with. I know most people didn't grow up with this game, but this was the Pokemon game I grew up with. This was the only Pokemon game I ever finished full way through, and I had a really good time playing it. And I do have to say, I've played other Pokemon games and I haven't liked them anywhere as much as X and Y. Also, the show, I loved that as a kid, and I still like it to this day, and I'm probably going to try get the game again, X and Y. I have to get my 3DS fixed, and then I can play Pokemon X and Y again. Now onto the game. Now the big complaint I've heard a lot of people saying for this game is that, now this is for a specific review I watched, but it says that the game has a lot left out, like there's a lot of missing pieces, and it doesn't make the game feel empty, but it feels like they were setting it up for a third game, which obviously is quite obvious. I forget what it's called, but the Zed in it, he was obviously teased in it, he was in a cave and all, and it was basically teasing this third game, so there was a lot of missing pieces that were setting up for the third game. But I do have to say, I didn't even notice that. I never found that in a cave when I was a kid playing the game, and I do have to say I never noticed these missing pieces, like these kind of setups, and I didn't really care. So I'm going to say I do understand that flaw, but for me that really didn't affect the experience at all. Also, here's some pros of the game. The fact that it was the first Pokemon game to go into 3D, and wow, for a game that is so old, it is amazing how good the graphics are and how good the quality is. And for Pokemon's first time trying out 3D, it is a brilliant game for that. And I do have to say, I think everyone agrees on it, but even today it still holds up, and a new game releasing with that kind of graphics would still be high quality. And also, I love the open world type of the game, which I know all Pokemon have. But the 3D again really helps with that open world environment, and going around and finding Pokemon. And I do have to say, even though I love the old Pokemon games as well, and I still like to play them, the quality of like the actual graphics does seem to affect it. The fact that it's 3D and colored makes it a much better experience in my opinion. And I think even though people have a nostalgia bias for the old games, they can agree that color and 3D is better, and maybe not the 3D bit, but definitely the color bit. And I know the color bit came really soon after, but like still, that's what I'm saying. But yeah, I do have to say that the game is really, like, there's loads to do in it. I have to say they introduced completely new Pokemon, and they were all really good. And for me, they're actually, what's weird is they're kind of the Pokemon I think of, and not actually the, you know, ones from the original generation. Like obviously I think of Charmander and all that, but I still really like associate Greninja and all that, and Chespin, all those ones with the Pokemon that I think of, even though it's from a, like, I'm going a lot off the show right now because that's how I can measure time, but what I'm saying is it was like in its 13th season, so Pokemon had been well established, and this had been the 13th regen or whatever, so Pokemon, these guys were definitely not the original. But I do have to say they did a really good job with these Pokemon, and I do think that the starting tree was very good. Now I know I wanted to talk about the game, but it's been a while since I played the game, and this is a video basically just making a preparation for it, and I will be making a much more in-depth video, no matter if this does well or bad. Now I can't confirm when it'll come out, but I will at some stage make a video on it, because I want to get the game again and replay it, and then I can make a proper review, because it has been around 7 years since I played that game, but I really want to play it again, and that's what I'm going to do. This is a very short review, basically watching videos and from my own memory. also associating with the show. Now, the show actually did fulfill its getting to the Z part, and they did that storyline. And I do have to say that the Pokemon show, X and Y show, was like pretty perfect. It did 3 seasons, which were all good. They handled the Z storyline very good, and they just handled it all brilliant. I do have to say the one complaint for me was that it only lasted 3 seasons. Now, this is all very nostalgia bias for me, because this is the game I grew up with, and I do have to say I can understand why it's not everyone's favorite game, because it's not the game they grew up with. And that seems to be a common trend with Pokemon, that the game that you played, the one that you grew up with, is your favorite. And that's obvious, that goes hand in hand with every game, but Pokemon seems to have a very big lineup of games that are all S tier, but everyone is born at a different time, so whichever game they're bought and they grow up with is the game that they love the most. That's not to say I haven't disliked any Pokemon game that I've played. It's just that this game is definitely my favorite one. And this is including the newer ones with Sun and Moon. So I'm definitely not just going off, graphics and all that. Even though it is a big effect, it's not the main thing. Because Sun and Moon, I don't really remember, because I stopped playing it after like a day, and I barely got through it. It just was nowhere as good as X and Y. And I do have to say, I forget what the town is called, but the main city, that is very good, and I do like that city a lot. Playing that in the game is so good. It's so it's open world, and it's just, there's so much to do in it. It's a really in-depth game and puts a lot more into Pokemon than there was originally. And I do have to say that if you wanted to try out a Pokemon game, I highly rate this one, and I think it is severely underrated. And I think a lot of people will agree with that one, and it's kind of forgotten the whole time, because I would say that it's because it was the first one to go into 3D, and the new console with 3DS came out, and because a younger generation played it, so people haven't got to really talk about it yet. But yeah, that's all for today's video. Again, I'm not doing another Fortnite commentary video, because obviously this is a gaming commentary channel, and I wanted to talk about other stuff. Also, the Fortnite commentary videos haven't been doing well at the moment. Now that's only been 2 videos, but I just wanted to make a different video for once, and probably what I'm doing at the moment is going to be uploading a few Fortnite videos, and then the occasional separate gaming commentary. And if I find some that's doing more well than Fortnite, I might move that on to the more constant uploading. But that's we'll have to see how that goes. That's all for today's video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.